Hello everyone and welcome to another video with Cass on the Maizuma channel. Today I bring you this epic door that you can have on your map. Yeah, it's a piston door and I'm about to show you guys it opening. So yeah, I am in the snapshots, so it's a little bit laggy, so I'm sorry for that. So let's see that in action. And that's it, guys. It's a quite fast opening. I included inputs on both sides, which is pretty cool. Just click the floor. And the closing is even faster, but you can hear lots of piston movements because the door has to fix itself or adjust the piston setup. Yeah, I'm quite proud of myself, especially for the input, because I made it fit on one tall thing. This is the layout of the door. For those of you more familiar with Redstone, it's obviously a sideways or wall hipster door. Let's see it from a distance. If lag doesn't kill my computer, hopefully this is recording well. And the closing, once again, closing super fast. It has a little cooldown, like it takes a little bit to start, but when it starts, it goes really fast. And it can look really good. You can make it as short as too tall, and it's expandable up to the top of the map. If for some reason you want that. The redstone is super compact, and it ends exactly where the door ends, which means that if you're a builder, you can start building right on top of the redstone without any problem. So it's designed for people to do their decorations and everything. And well, enough talk. Maybe you guys want to see the redstone, because the redstone for this door is quite interesting. So yeah, it's a perfect door for your giant players that I'm sure you have lots of them on your server. So, and this, boys and girls, is the redstone behind everything. Yeah, I made a 6 high version, but as mentioned before, you can make it as high or short as you want. So let's see this in action with more detail from the side now. So those are the things that you were hearing before, those extra moves after the closing. And the opening is quite interesting. I had to use a bunch of different tricks in here. So it's only 3 deep and 6 wide. Here's the circuit board that controls everything. It's quite interesting, a really interesting circuit. And here is the piston layout. If I run a command now, this is the closing with the extra movements. It's basically preparing the setup for the opening. And now the opening, which is more interesting. It's a lot of block swapping. Alright people, time to see how this thing works. For those of you only interested in building this in Survive or something, you can either skip to the end of the video, I will probably leave an annotation, or download the map. But now I'm going to do a in-depth explanation of how this works, and trust me, it's very interesting. It's just a hipster door, but it's very interesting, guys. Stick around because you're going to learn some very cool stuff about piston doors. Alright, so this is a section of the piston layout that I came up with, and our job is to make this thing close as a door and then open. So I named the circuit, so this is the green section, the double extender is the white section, and the powering thing is the blue section. Notice that I have control over this line, and this other line, but I don't have any control over this line where the piston obviously is, and this other line where the piston will eventually be. So we'll have to sort this out. Okay, so in my case, for this piston layout, the sequence that works is actually in the same order as it already is. So it's a green, white, and blue. So let's execute the sequence once and see what it gives us. So green, white, and blue. Alright, this is an excellent beginning because we already see that the door is closed. It's closed, guys. So what happens if I execute the same exact sequence once again? So green, white, and blue. Nothing really happened this time. And as a matter of fact, with exception of the first one, the next 4 sequences will not do anything. It will just mess around with the setup so that it basically changes inside but not on the outside. So we ran it 2 times, so let's run a total of 5, so this would be 3. So green, white, and blue, then 4, green, white, and blue, and then let me change the angle so you guys can see. Green, white, and blue. So nothing really changed, which is weird, but okay. Now we want to open this. So opening a piston door is usually a lot more complicated. So we need to find a new sequence to open this thing. But what if we keep doing green, white, and blue? Guys, it's unbelievable. Let me cut to the chase here. If I run the exact same sequence 5 more times, which is exactly the same number of times we already did it, it will open the door. So let's see that. So green, white, and blue. Green, white, and blue. So there we have our first block. Green, white, and blue. Green, white, and blue. So there we have our second block. And green, white. This time I have to run this a little bit different, and blue. And there we'll have it. That's your door. So I told you guys that I would run the exact same sequence, but I changed something in the end, which is usually the case, you know. One of the secrets to compacting piston doors is to reuse the circuits. Basically, we do the same thing over and over again, and it ends up doing something different, which is, some people say, is one of the definitions of madness. But I guess Redstone is a little bit of madness. So, well, if you give it a specific length of pulse, you don't have to have the special case. You can basically keep doing the same exact thing over and over again. And to prove this to you, I built this circuit, a circuit to do exactly what I did here. It gives a pulse 5 times, but you see here, this guy gets a 1-tick pulse, as does this guy, but this guy gets a weird pulse here. You will see. So if I flick the lever, you can maybe observe the nodes coming out of here so that you can count how many times the cycle runs. So yeah, it closed the door and then it did a bunch of nothing. So let's try running this again. 5 more pulses. And that's it, guys. It closed. So the big problem here, the reason why I have such a weird kind of pulse here with pistons giving half ticks and everything, is because eventually the system will be like this, right? So we're gonna have a wall. This is moving so fast in the snapshots. So we're trying, at this point we already have the first block, and we are trying to get the second block. So look at what happens when I power this guy. Unfortunately, it ruins the wall here. It brings this block to the side, and we definitely don't want that. So yeah, there is a special pulse that will, for example, when this piston is here, it will extend and it will be able to grab this guy here. But when this guy is there, we will do a special synchronization here so that this guy will not be able to catch this piston and it will not destroy the wall. As you can see, this sequence works, but it's very inefficient. So now I will build this with you, which is a lot more efficient, and you will see why. Okay, if you're still there, now you get to see me building this thing. And this should be the best part of this video, as I promised. Okay, so you guys are probably tired of seeing this piston layout, so you can probably copy this. Those are all stick pistons. The only special thing are maybe these ones. So if you're going to extend this to make it a higher wall, just make sure to alternate between glass and observer blocks. You don't need observer blocks everywhere. Actually, this messes up things. And yeah, you can build it as high as you want, as I mentioned before. Alright, so another good idea also is to place movable blocks on those parts as soon as you get the base layout built, so that the door won't pass during the building process. And the first thing I want to do is to place these observers here. They're going to power those 3 lines. So we need node blocks on each of the sides here. It has to be node blocks because those are able to update the next section, and they also work as solid blocks. You cannot use droppers because droppers will get budded. Because it happens to droppers are terrible, to be honest. if you have a dropper, if you power this dropper, 1 tick later you power this other dropper, this guy will get budded and the detection will mess up the top of the circuit here, so don't do that. Alright, so right here you need to have redstone dust. Redstone dust cannot be a dot because it will power these pistons when this guy slides them to the side. So here you can either use hooks, or if you are rich on resources, you can also use comparators like this. So it's your choice. Okay, so let me start wiring this thing, because I'm going to run this one more time for you, because this version runs different from that one at the back. As I told you guys, I made a more efficient version of this, and we will change things in here, so don't follow step by step before you watch the entire video. Remember, this is an in-depth explanation kind of video. And finally here, just redstone dust, and here, very important, we need a regular piston. Okay, so 2 ticks, wires, 1, 1. At least this is the setup that works in 1.13. It might change, but for now it works okay like this. Okay, so this is the basic thing that we need here for my next demonstration. So the circuit you saw before needed 5 interactions each time, repeating interactions to do all the sequence, but this one's a little bit different. With this one, let me maybe grab a transparent block here. For the closing, I need 3 interactions only. So 1, 2, 3. I know the other interactions don't do anything, but it's already reset. It doesn't need 5. And for the opening, it needs 4 interactions. So let's do that. 1, 2, and that's what I was talking about. You see that this observer is connected to this guy, but the wall is not broken. So 4 and 3 and 4, and the door is opened. So yeah, there I created a clock that creates 5 pulses, but now I need something that creates 3 pulses when you flip the lever, but when you flip the lever again we need 4 pulses. So let me show you how I did that. A good analogy to understand this thing is to consider this as our mechanical part or our hardware, and what goes inside this hopper is your software, and the software is telling you to, when this input turns on, we send 3 pulses, and then when it turns off, we send 4 pulses. And it does that because this has a signal strength of 0, so immediately when you flip the lever, the first piece of redstone dust getting inside this thing, and then it will wait a little bit and then throw an unstackable item, which will change drastically the signal strength, so then we get another pulse. Then we wait a little bit, and in between those 4 items here, we will get another change in the signal strength, so 3 pulses, and then we get the final item, so this is 4 pulses. Alright, so the difference is when you flip the lever again, those two items will migrate to the other hopper, but they don't make a difference because the signal strength here with those two unstackable items is too strong, so the item don't actually matter. It starts to matter when the first sword goes to the other side. Then this is how we ignore the first section, and then we can make a kind of asymmetric pulse generator. Okay, let's implement this part of the solution here. I made sure to block everything off once again, so we won't have any problems in here. Alright, so our pair of hoppers goes there. Then comparator and redstone dust. And now let's do our programming. So when the door is opened, or all the blocks are in, this should be powered, which means the torch should be on. So place all your items inside this, and well, you should have this. The reason why we have different items, in case you are wondering, is because we don't want the items to stack. This will ruin the circuit. Alright, so this will make sure to send all the pulses. This should be functional already, to be honest. I can even prove it to you. And then we will do the last part of the circuit. So flip the lever. And now flip the lever again. So as I told you, it already works. That's all we need. Except that now, if I decide to power the circuit again, once this piston fires, it will push the observer block, and then this piston will be here and it will break the wall on this side. So what we need to do to avoid this is, in the end of the sequence, we send a 1-tick pulse to this pair of pistons to bring back those blocks. And this is why we have the rest of the circuit, just so that we can get that last pulse. So for that we will need to destroy a little section of the circuit, unfortunately. And I think those should be enough. This will break, but don't worry. I'm just talking about the circuit. So I believe that we have one observer facing downwards here. Then we do a shape like this, so 2 here, and then it goes like this. Alright, so just do this shape here. You can pause the video. And now here we place a comparator. This comparator must be on subtraction mode, otherwise you're gonna have problems. And now here I will place a furnace. Inside the furnace you need 1 unstackable item and 5 items that stack up to 16, so 5 snowballs and 1 wooden sword will do the trick. Now we can have this repeater on 4 ticks, so 2 repeaters on 4 ticks. And finally we can rebuild the section of the circuit that we destroyed before, so 2 repeaters on 1 tick, redstone dust. And this should do that last pulse here without interfering with the rest of the circuit. Okay, so now this is powered and the torch is powered, which means it thinks it's opened. So let's fix it. Let me use those blocks. Those blocks have to be solid, but these ones can even be glowstone or transparent blocks. And finally, we don't want these guys to be touching these pistons when the door thinks it's opened. So yeah, that should be it. Alright, opening. I will do the expansion. I will not be lazy this time, just for demonstration purposes, just to show you guys that it really works. Just to expand it 1 time, so you won't be lost. So just oops, this should be like so. I will use the hook this time just to show how it can be done differently, but it could also use the same structure here. Okay, now extend more pistons in there. server and more solid blocks in there, and cover your wall, and yeah, everything should be fine. So let's test it. Closing done, and opening done, guys. So yeah, guys, I think this door was an amazing project. I had a lot of fun designing it. Had to use a bunch of tricks to get this to work. So I really hope, truly hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed recording it. And I hope to see you guys soon here on my channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content like this. I would love to have you around. Bye guys, see you next time.